So these are the two different models of the Nexdigitron A3 Pro. So on top of the box, you can clearly make out the difference by looking at this OBD2 sticker here. So this model comes only with a OBD2 power cable. It doesn't have the 12 volt car charger and the regular USB cable, whereas the normal version comes without the OBD cable and comes with your regular 12 volt charger and your USB power cable. So except that one aspect, everything else is the same, but the pricing is different. The OBD2 model comes at a price of 4,999 rupees and the regular version comes at a price of about 4,599 rupees. So that's hardly a difference of 400 rupees between these two models, and the price may come down a bit more in the upcoming Amazon sale. So to make sure that you do not get confused if you are going to purchase this in the upcoming sale, let's open up the box and show you the contents so that this completely clears your confusion and you can make the right purchase decision. So the outer cover is opened up. So at first you'll see the user guide. So on the left you can see this says with OBD2 parking kit, and this says it is Super Full HD 1296p, which means this comes with a regular USB cable. So the user guides have their specific difference written on top of them. Let's keep them at this side. So before we take a look at the camera, let's jump to the power cable where all the difference comes into effect. If I take a look at the normal version, so here is the normal version with your regular USB cable. So it's a USB type A connector at one end and a micro USB connector at the other end, which connects to the dash camera. Also along with that, you do get a 12 volt car charger with two dedicated USB ports, which means you can use one port to power up the dash cam and you will have a spare USB port to power up any other devices, and it has got a Nexdigitron branding. So this is the normal version with your regular USB power cable and a 12 volt adapter. So I'll keep this here. In the OBD version, you don't get a 12 volt adapter, which I just showed you here, and you don't get a USB power cable. You rather get a OBD2 cable. So as you can see, this OBD2 port plugs in into the OBD2 socket of your car. So this is the plug, and this plugs in into the socket within the car, and at the other end you have the micro USB port which plugs in into the dash camera. So the camera derives power from the OBD2 port in this case, and this doesn't require any other power cable, any other 12 volt car charger or any of that stuff. And this will enable parking monitoring right out of the box. You don't need any hardwiring, you don't need any extra special hardware kit. So this is the main basic difference between these two models. Rest everything is exactly the same. You get the same mount, you get the same camera, you get an extra 3M sticker in both boxes. So I'll just take a look at them. So there you go, the same extra 3M sticker is provided. You get a wiring crowbar as well, so the same wiring crowbar. And finally, if we take a look at the dash cam, so here you go, this is the normal version dash cam and this is the OBD2 version dash cam. Both are exactly the same. There is no difference between these two dash cameras. The same port, the same lens, the same resolution, everything is simply the same. Only the way of powering it up will be different. So taking a look at the dash camera, it completely resembles the older outgoing A3 model, and only difference you can see is that there is a A3 Pro branding at the back of the camera. Rest everything is more or less the same. You have the indicator LED on the back, you have a parking LED at the front of the camera, you have this Nexdigitron logo, the lens of the camera. So here is the slot wherein the windshield mount plugs in. You have the USB port. On the left you have the speaker right here, and on the right you have a lid which covers the micro SD card and reset slots. So most of the things are same, and if I go ahead and show you how you can plug the camera onto its windshield mount. So here is the windshield mount. So just plug in the windshield mount into the hole and slide it into place, and it plugs in easily. It's easily detachable. You just have to slide it out and the camera comes off pretty easily. So let's plug it in back, and once it's plugged in, you can also rotate the camera like this, because since there is a screw mechanism here, you can loosen the screw and move about the camera based on your requirement, and you can tighten the screw later on once you have reached the optimal point. Also, one additional thing to note is that this camera is compatible with vertical windshields, which means if you have a Thar or a Jeep or any other car which has a vertical windshield, this camera can be mounted on that. So as you can see, if I take this user guide as the vertical windshield, So there is a sufficient gap between the lens and the windshield surface. So this makes it an ideal dash camera for such angled windshields. Also, an important thing to note is that the A3 Pro has a built-in vehicle battery protection feature. Well, you can access this within the UMera app once the camera is connected to the app within your smartphone. So as you can see, here is the vehicle battery protection option. So let me just scroll down a bit to show you clearly. So as you can see now, this is the vehicle battery protection, and it says that to protect battery, the dash cam will turn off automatically when it detects the battery is below the selected voltage. So this means you have manual control over how much battery is to be left out before the camera turns off. So as you can see, it is currently selected at middle, which is 12 volt. But if I click on that, you get different options. So I'll just scroll up above and show you. So these are the options that are present, that is high voltage 12.4 volts, middle voltage 12 volts, and low voltage, that is 11.8 volts. So if you select the low voltage, the dash cam will run to the point until the battery reaches the low voltage of 11.8. If you select the high point, the dash cam will run until the battery reaches the voltage of 12.4 volts and the dash cam will automatically turn off. So coming back to the main settings screen, you have other options which you can play around with. So first option is, after vehicle is turned off, you can make the camera enter the time-lapse mode, or you can make it enter the ordinary mode, or you can make it enter the sleep mode. So zooming in on these options, let me just go ahead and show you. So as you can see, the first option is the time-lapse mode. Now this will greatly save device storage space, but the play speed will be fast. And following this, you have the ordinary video, normal recording, but will overwrite the oldest files when the memory card gets full. So you can enable ordinary video recording even during parking monitoring, or you can activate the sleep mode, which is the standby mode, and device will wake up only by the emergency event, which are triggered by the G sensor sensitivity. So heading back onto the main screen. Now you have the video duration selections, which means you can select for how long the dash camera should be turned on for parking monitoring. If you select that, you have the options of 12 hours, 24 hours, and up to 48 hours of parking monitoring. Well, the camera will probably turn off before that because the battery will definitely come down. And this is the main option, that is battery vehicle protection, which I just showed you now. And in the OBD2 model, you get parking monitoring right out of the box. So these are the important options which I needed to show you in regards to the A3 Pro's parking monitoring features. Now let's take a look at some of the important features of A3 Pro. This dash camera supports a resolution of 2304 x 1296p, and it supports a 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi network. The camera has a field of view of 140 degrees with the lens having an f2.0 aperture. This camera supports parking mode with battery protection feature, which I just showed you previously. This camera is super capacitor based and supports microSD cards up to 128 GB. So this dash camera provides a resolution of 2304 x 1296p at 25 frames per second. It has a bitrate of about 6000 kbps and the file size is about 60 MB per minute. Taking a look at the license plate readability at a distance of about 10 feet at night, now I can observe that my headlight is falling directly on the license plate, and this is causing a complete whitewash of the license plate read. But here's something very interesting and very cool which I need to show you. As soon as my car gets very near and the glare comes down a bit, you get a very crystal clear read of the license plate with absolutely no noise. And I haven't seen any budget dash camera do this at such a short distance. So that's a very incredible thing by the Nexdigitron A3 Pro. Coming to the overall video footage quality, I think the glare from the opposite headlights, if you are seeing on the screen right now, is getting some light streaks. That is actually good because they are not those hazy bright spots in the video which completely spoil the video quality of the night footage. They are actually light streaks, and that's a very cool sign that the camera is working very well to give you a very good night footage. I'm actually very happy with the night footage provided by the Nexdigitron A3 Pro, and I would definitely recommend this camera for someone who is looking for a good and a decent night footage for a price of less than 5,000 rupees. Coming to the daytime footage, I think I have already mentioned it. I'm really impressed with the quality of the daytime footage from this camera, and I have already told this in my previous video as well. But let's jump in and take a look at the license plate readability at a distance of about 15 feet. Now if I just go ahead and zoom in on the license plate in the car in front of me, so as you can see, the license plate readability is slightly blurred, but you can make out the individual letters and numbers, and that's again a very incredible thing. If I just go ahead and zoom in at a very close range, now this actually looks like a 4K dash camera license plate read, and I wouldn't have been able to make out the difference if you had told me this was a 4K camera. The crystal clear quality of the license plate is pretty evident because there's absolutely no noise and gives you a very sharp picture. Talking about the overall video quality, again I have repeated this in my previous video. The video footage looks very much natural. The exposure, saturation, contrast and brightness levels are set perfectly balanced, and you won't be able to make out that this footage is from a budget dash camera. What I can definitely say is, if I was looking for a camera under 5,000 rupees and I wanted some really good footage, I would definitely choose the Nexdigitron A3 Pro over several of the other budget dash cams that are available out there. So comparing the night sample footages from both dash cameras, on top you find the A3 Pro and on the bottom you have the DDPAI Mini Pro. Taking a look at the license plate read at a close range, now you can see there's absolutely no difference. Both cameras offer a noiseless, clear license plate read at a very short range. Now coming to the overall night footage quality, I think again even in this aspect both cameras offer a very similar experience. There's no large difference, there's no significant difference which you should be thinking about when you take a look at the overall quality. But there's one thing which I need to show you, and that is if the vehicle is at a distance where the headlight is falling directly on the license plate. Now as you can see, I have pointed out the arrows. The license plate read will be whitewashed at such distance at night when the headlights are falling directly on it. But if you approach the vehicle and get a bit closer when the headlights are not falling directly on it, you get a very similar license plate read with a very clear and a noiseless projection of all the letters and the numbers. Coming to the daytime footage quality, again I have talked about the daytime quality in my previous video as well. Both offer a very good crystal clear quality, but I might say the A3 Pro is slightly better over the Mini Pro, but hey, this might be a subjective opinion. Taking a look at the license plate read now, as you can see, a very crystal clear read of the license plate, no noise, no disturbance, no blurriness. At a close range, both these cameras really excel at giving you a very good license plate read, especially in daytime. Now side by side comparison, as you're seeing on the screen right now, both cameras are offering a very similar and a very balanced experience in terms of the overall video quality, and I definitely cannot say that one camera is better than the other because there is hardly any noticeable difference between the video qualities of both these dash cameras. So here are the three dash cameras which you have been looking for, and here on the left you have the Nexdigitron A3 Pro. On the right have the DDPAI N1 Dual channel, so this is the front version, and finally the new contender, the Nexdigitron Prime. So all three dash cameras, I have them with me right now. So straight away, as you can see, the Nexdigitron A3 Pro and the DDPAI N1 Dual have more or less a similar form factor, wherein the Nexdigitron A3 Pro has a complete rectangular shape. In case of the DDPAI N1, it has a sort of a curve at both the edges, which gives it a more premium feel. And also in terms of the build quality, I definitely think the DDPAI N1 feels a bit more premium in the hand compared to the A3 Pro. And in terms of the Nexdigitron Prime, again this feels a bit plasticky compared to the DDPAI N1. But overall, I think both the Nexdigitron A3 Pro and the Nexdigitron Prime have a similar build, but the DDPAI N1 has a slightly better build quality compared to these two dash cameras, is what I feel. Taking a look at different sides of the dash camera, so if you can see right now, on the left side of the Prime you have the power on off button and you have the micro SD card slot. On the left side of the N1 Dual there is a speaker grill and a similarly placed speaker grill for the A3 Pro as well. Taking a look at the right side, so turning the dash cam, so here as you can see, both the A3 Pro and the N1 Dual get a lid for the micro SD card slot and the reset slot. Here on the A3 Prime there is no lid as such. You have direct access and there is a USB Type-C power port and the AV in for the rear port. So where's the rear port for the N1 Dual, you might ask? So the rear port for the N1 Dual lies on top of the camera. So the Type-C power port for the front and the AV in port for the rear camera lies on top of the dash cam. You also get some parking LEDs at the front for the A3 Pro and the DDPAI N1 Dual. So I think this is the LED on the left side corner here, and there's a LED here. There is no parking LED as such for the Nexdigitron Prime. you only get a LED at the back which indicates that it's working. At the bottom we have this broad base for the prime with all the ventilation holes. Considering the bottom part, I think if you combine these two dash cameras, you get the width as much as the prime, combining the A3 Pro and the DDPAI N1 Dual. So in terms of the broadness, the prime is definitely a very broad dash camera, and considering the length, it's slightly longer compared to both the A3 Pro and the DDPAI N1 Dual. So coming to the most important point, that is a price. The Nexdigitron A3 Pro comes at a price of 3899 rupees. The Nexdigitron Prime comes at a price of 7999 rupees, and the DDPAI N1 Dual comes at a price of 6499 rupees. The most prominent and the most important difference between these three dash cameras is that the Nexdigitron Prime has a GPS support, but the Nexdigitron A3 Pro and the DDPAI N1 do not support GPS. Another aspect where there is a difference which might matter to you is that the Nexdigitron A3 Pro and the Nexdigitron Prime both support memory cards up to 128 GB, whereas the DDPAI N1 Dual supports memory cards up to 256 GB. The other important area which might matter to you is the resolution of these cameras. The Nexdigitron A3 Pro and the DDPAI N1 Dual both support a 1296p resolution, whereas the Nexdigitron Prime has a 1440p resolution. Now let's take a look at the video samples and the license plate readability of these three dash cameras. So taking a look at the video samples of all three dash cameras side by side, on top you see the Nexdigitron A3 Pro, in the middle you have the DDPAI N1 Dual, and at the bottom you find the Nexdigitron Prime. I have given all the detailed technical specifications of these videos on the right side. So straight away let's jump into the license plate readability at a very close range and take a look which of these cameras performs the best. So here are the license plate samples. Now you can make out that almost all the three samples are exactly the same. Well, there's not a major difference, there's not a drastic difference between the video samples in terms of reading the number plates. I mean, the clarity and the legibility of each letter and number is more or less exactly the same. The only thing you can make out is that the sample from the DDPAI N1 Dual looks more yellowish than normal, and the sample of the A3 Pro and the Nexdigitron Prime look more or less the same in terms of color tone and in terms of clarity. Now continuing on to the footage and waiting till the bus moves a bit about 20 feet away from my car and jumping into the license plate readability again. Now at a far range, as you can see, now the clarity has come down, the image has started to get blurred, and the letters and numbers, they are slightly difficult to read now. But again, in comparison, the N1 Dual sample looks more yellowish because the video has a sort of a warmer tone, and the sample from the A3 Pro and the Prime looks pretty much similar. In terms of the clarity, I can say that the A3 Pro and the N1 Dual have a sharper footage, and because of that the license plate read also looks a bit more sharper, and the letters and the numbers look more straightened up. In terms of the Nexdigitron Prime, it has a slightly overexposed video footage with lesser amount of sharpness, and because of this you find a smoothed out license plate readability. And in comparison, in this particular sample, the license plate readability of the Prime offers a slight better improvement in terms of clarity compared to the other two dash cameras. Coming to the nighttime comparison of the video footages from all three dash cameras, a similar experience. You see a slight yellow tone on the N1 Dual. The A3 Pro gives the best video footage in terms of having a perfectly balanced exposure and contrast levels. The Nexdigitron Prime also gives a very decent footage, although I must say it is slightly overexposed and you'd see a slight white tint on the particular video. Now let's zoom in and let's wait until I get a bit close to the car right in front of me to get a good license plate read. Now about a distance of, I think this is 10 feet, if we take a look at the license plate readabilities of all three cameras. So as you can see, the comparison at a distance of 10 feet, especially when the headlights of my car are hitting the license plates directly. You can clearly make out that the N1 Dual and the Nexdigitron Prime license plate reads are whitewashed because they are in line with the direct glare of my headlight. But surprisingly, the A3 Pro turns out to be a winner in this because it is able to compensate for that extra glare and still give you a good license plate read.
Now, what I have shown in my previous videos regarding the Nexdigitron Prime giving you a whitewash look, even in this example, the result is pretty consistent with that. But here's the trick: if you get a bit more closer when the license plate is not directly in range of my headlights and lies slightly at the border of it, and if we take a look at the license plate, so as you can see now, you can make out the license plate from all the three cameras, especially when the license plate is not directly in range of the headlight. Now even in this example, I think the A3 Pro gives a better license plate read. You can even make out the individual I and D lettering at the left corner of the plate. In terms of the clarity of the N1 Dual and the Prime, the N1 Dual carries a bit more noise compared to the other dash cameras, and the Prime gives you a very soft image and a lightly overexposed image compared to the A3 Pro and the N1 Dual. So this again is consistent with what I have shown you in my previous videos of the Nexdigitron Prime and the DDPAI N1 Dual, that their license plate readabilities at night are good when the license plate is not lying directly in line of the headlights. Now overall footage quality again does seem pretty decent to me at night. You will get a good quality of all these three dash cameras, a decent quality while taking video footages at night. Coming to the rear camera quality, now it's only the competition between the N1 Dual and the Nexdigitron Prime because the A3 Pro doesn't have a rear camera. You can straight away make out that the N1 Dual gives you a more yellowish video because of its warmer tone, and the Nexdigitron Prime gives you a more natural looking video in comparison because it has a more cooler tone when compared to the N1 Dual. Now let's jump into the license plate read. Now as you can see, Mahindra Bolero is very close to me and there is a school bus right next to it which is slightly farther away. Let's take a look at the license plate read of both these vehicles. So at a close range, as you can see, in terms of reading the license plate of the Bolero, both the images are pretty much the same in terms of clarity. You can make out that the only difference comes in the color tone, wherein the N1 Dual gives you a yellowish footage and the Nexdigitron Prime gives you a more cooler, slightly bluish footage. The letters and numbers are more or less the same in terms of the clarity, and you can read the number plate at a very close range of about 5 to 10 feet. Taking a look at the license plate of the school bus, which was slightly farther away, I think more than 10 feet away, you can again make out that the N1 Dual has a more yellowish tone and the Prime gives you a more natural tone. In terms of the letters and numbers, you can make out the number plate, and in terms of the clarity, I think both license plate reads are exactly the same. I cannot say for sure like one camera is doing its job better than the other in terms of clarity. They are exactly the same, and since both cameras are 1080p cameras, so they are giving a very consistent and equal result. Coming to the night footage, I think the Nexdigitron Prime is giving a slight white look at the video because of its overexposure, and the N1 Dual is giving you a more contrasty look. Taking a look at the license plate read at a moderate range, now as you can see, there is a duster standing right behind my car. If we zoom in on the license plate, the N1 Dual giving you a slightly sharper and a warmer look. The Nexdigitron Prime 2 is giving you a good read of the license plate, although in comparison it is looking less contrasty and less sharpness. It gives you a more smoothed out and a slightly overexposed image. Now again, this is not a huge difference. This is a very minor difference. This is not something which you will notice unless you compare the license plate reads side by side as I am showing in the video. In real life terms, this is not going to make a major difference.
So what do you think now? Well, I definitely think that if you are looking for an entry-level budget dash camera and you want the best camera in that price bracket segment, this is definitely the A3 Pro's job. It's got this amazing video clarity day and night, and it's got a really good license plate readability as well. Not to mention, you get parking monitoring from this camera right out of the box without having to purchase a separate hardware kit. Well, what more do you ask for when you're getting such a very good combo? And if you're interested in purchasing this dash camera, the link to purchase is given right below. So just go ahead, click down on the description. You'll find the link right there. Also, if you have any doubts or queries regarding this, do write them down in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you're interested in checking out some other dash cams and related accessories, you can check out the website nexdigitron.com. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.